Welcome, everybody, to our first Asian Palette Project interview. At APP, our mission is to celebrate and deepen the understanding of Asian culture through the universal language of food. My name is Joanna,
And my name is Sai.
and today we're here with celebrity chef Katie Chen. Not only is she an incredibly talented individual, but she's also a cookbook author, blogger, TV personality, and successful entrepreneur, among her many other impressive accomplishments.
We are very thrilled to have you here with us today. To start off, could you share a little bit about your journey and what inspired you to share this path?
Sure. Thanks so much for having me today, you guys. I am a chef. I'm a caterer. I have a catering business called Walkstar Catering, and I'm a cookbook author. I began on this journey. My professional career actually was in entertainment. I wasn't originally a chef, but I'm going to tell the story because I think it's really inspiring, not mine, but my mother's story. She immigrated from China in 1956 as a seamstress from Hong Kong to Minnesota, where I was born and raised. She always loved to cook. And one day she threw a party for her sewing clients. She was making 50 cents an hour as a seamstress. Okay. They were so blown away by her cuisine because they had never had authentic Chinese cuisine before. Because this is back in the early 70s when, most people in the Midwest only knew about chow mein and chop suey. They were blown away by her cuisine. So they encouraged her to start catering and teaching classes. And one thing led to another. She became a very successful caterer out of our tiny little basement in Minnesota. She caught the attention of a local socialite who wanted to open a restaurant with my mother. One thing led to another, and that socialite happened to be friends with the owner of the Minnesota Twins. And the owner of the Minnesota Twins was friends with Sean Connery, the original James Bond 007, who was in town visiting his friend Robert Redford, who was directing a film called Ordinary People. My mom catered the welcome party. I was there with knees buckling, offering appetizers to these huge celebrities at the time. Okay, you guys are young, but anyway, I'm sure you've heard of Sean Connery at least. Anyway, Sean Connery decided to invest in my mother's first restaurant, which was huge. And she ended up growing a restaurant chain with over 40 restaurant locations. My mother never even went to high school. General Mills then bought her company in the mid 80s, and they made her president of the division. I mean, it's like a crazy story. She ended up buying the chain back and grew it to a chain with over 50 locations, which still exists in Minneapolis in the Twin Cities area. There's actually one in the Atlanta airport and the North Carolina airport right now.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's
I
so
know.
cool.
Anyway, I grew up working in her tiny little catering basement, and I was like, I'm getting the hell out of here. I'm getting away from the frozen Minnesota tundra. There are no Asian people here at the time.
Uh-huh.
So I went to school in Boston, then I moved to LA and I worked in the entertainment industry for about 14 years doing film and TV marketing. And
Uh,
one day I had forgotten how to cook, trying to throw a dinner party for some colleagues at Fox. And I kept calling my mom and asking her questions. And she was like, this is ridiculous. So she got on a plane with frozen lemon chicken, showed up on my doorstep, cooked the entire meal. She let everyone think that I had cooked it, but she set out to teach me how to cook again because she was mortified to find only champagne and yogurt in my fridge. And we set out on this journey. My friends were like, you guys make this look so easy. You should do a cookbook together. And I was like, we should do a cookbook together. So I just changed my life completely. I quit my job as a senior VP at Fox. I left my then husband, and she and I embarked on this culinary journey. And we had a show together on PBS called Double Happiness. We had a catering business together. We got to go to China for the Food Network. We went on the Today Show a bunch of times together. She unfortunately passed away about 15 years ago, but everything I do now is to honor her culinary legacy.
wow, that's really inspiring,
I know
actually.
that was a mouthful, but I just wanted to
Yeah.
share the whole arc
Uh-huh.
of my culinary journey.
Yeah, I actually read your story before this on your website in your bio, and it's like it's really cool to hear it again because it's just like it's just so you've come so far and it's like wow, it's very inspiring.
Thank you.
So yeah. Okay, so we have like a couple of questions that I hope for you. So the first one that I was really interested in because I actually saw some of your videos, I saw some clips of your shows, and there was one about like your pineapple fried rice that I was very interested in. It looked really delicious. Because like you put it inside the pineapple, right? And it was
Yes.
so creative. I thought it was like I would have never thought of that. So I wanted to ask, like, how did you come up with your recipes, or how do you create them? Like, what comes to you? How does it come to you?
Great question. A lot of the recipes that I feature are my mother's authentic recipes, actually. And I've written 5 cookbooks, and a lot of those recipes are recipes that she taught me. But also in our catering business, I learned that, especially in Los Angeles, we had to put a modern spin on a lot of
Oh,
recipes. And also, sometimes Chinese food gets a bad rap, like it's unhealthy. Years ago, this was back in like the 80s, there were some comparisons made to Chinese cuisine being like the unhealthiest. But, we as an industry felt like it was really unfair because they were really judging it on portion size that you would get at a Chinese restaurant, or choosing, items like kung pao chicken or sweet and sour pork, for example. That, as we know, lovers of Asian cuisine, it's all about the harmony and balance of the dishes that you serve at a dinner. It's about yin yang. Like, you might have a fried dish, but you balance that, of course, with something that's more yin, cooling, and healthy, like steamed bok choy, for example. Anyway, I digress. So a lot of the inspiration I get for my cookbooks and my current catering business, which is called Walkstar Catering, I get a lot of inspiration from travel. Los Angeles is just such a amazing, gold mine of ethnic cuisines, and really trends in global entertaining. And also, my last cookbook is actually a global cookbook. It's called Katie Chin's Global Family Cookbook. So I have a lot of mashups in there, from miso deviled eggs to, Thai inspired pizza to Thai poutine, for example.
mhm.
As far as the pineapple fried rice recipe goes, though, my mother taught that to me. And,
Oh,
I think sometimes presentation can be as much as, if not more important than the actual experience of, how it tastes. So she always taught me that. And that's just something so simple and doesn't cost a lot of money. I mean, if you're going to make pineapple fried rice anyway, I mean, you have to buy the pineapple.
right. That's
And
right.
also, there's
Yeah.
so, many resources
Mhm.
now on YouTube. Like, you might
Right.
go like, how the heck am I going to open that and take it out? It's actually very simple, but
Yeah.
you can just Google it. But I suggest to other people that are, maybe you're thinking of creating a food blog or an Instagram feed with all your delicious creations.
Yeah.
Just get out there, try new things, go to restaurants, just take note. It can be a magazine, but, I think travel is really important. It doesn't have to be international travel. There's
Mm.
ethnic enclaves in every city. Take a Saturday, check it out, go to an Indian market, and just, explore.
Hmm. Have you
Yeah, I
traveled
really.
to that area then? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Oh, oh, I was gonna ask, like, have you traveled a lot in like the Asia area then to like make these recipes? Like you mentioned like Thai and like South Indian, like do you have
I have been to Thailand. I went there for my honeymoon, and actually my
oh
everyday Thai cookbook.
mhm.
And I was inspired by the trip we took to Thailand. And also, there's a pretty vibrant Thai town in Los Angeles. I have been to China numerous times. I went with my mother back actually in the 90s, when a local NBC affiliate followed my mother there, because she was quite famous in Minneapolis. And then more recently, I've been to Shanghai, Beijing, Hong Kong. I haven't been to India yet, but
Oh,
I would love to.
they have really great cuisine, I've heard, right? Yeah. Sai, if you had something to say, sorry, I cut
Oh
you off.
no, no, that's okay. When we were talking about the pineapple fried rice recipe, I really liked how you said our eyes kind of eat before our mouths. That kind of really brings back a lot because when I was younger, I would hear that a lot for some, like my mom loves to cook and all, so she always says like, "Oh, your eyes actually eat before your mouth." So that's why
Mm.
presentation is just as important as how the food tastes.
That is so true. And it doesn't take a lot, to really elevate your presentation.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally agree. And I think that like helps a lot with like for like social media purposes, like getting yourself out there and like having people like get to know like what you do, your business, especially for you, you do catering. So that really helps like draw people and like audiences in, which is a good thing, obviously.
Absolutely. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
somebody was just trying to call me. I'm
Oh,
back.
it's all right. No worry. No worries. Um, yeah, okay. Our second question that we had was you said that like you originally started off in marketing, right? And then you left marketing for like the culinary field. Um, what like getting started, it was kind of rough for you, right? From what I understood. For me too, like I'm not actually much of a cooker. My sister is, my mom is, but I just like don't know. I'm kind of scared of the kitchen. I'm not gonna lie. I'm scared of like sort of like using the pots and like all that stuff. What's like one piece of advice for you have for someone who like is just getting started or doesn't know how to get started?
Um, you mean as a home cook or like as an entrepreneur or like as a social
Or
media influencer or like in all of the above?
all of the above. Like you have no idea what to do. You're just like going inside, just like you're home alone and you need to make yourself something.
Right, right. I think,
Yeah.
small steps,
Mhm.
because I think it can be overwhelming if you open up a cookbook and there's 25 ingredients and 35 steps. That's intimidating, of course. I would say start small, start with something super easy that maybe has 4 or 5 ingredients. Utilize tools that are out there like YouTube videos because they can really show you step by step. I mean, back in the day, recipe books that only had text and no pictures. Like, I'm like, I can't stand cookbooks with no pictures because I want to see what the final outcome should look like, right? And there's also other cookbooks, whether they're ebooks or actual, hardbound books that have like step by step directions.
Mhm.
And also just jump in. I just one piece of advice I give to entrepreneurs is leap and the net will appear. Okay, you can't get anywhere unless you make the first step, right? The first step is always the hardest, and like, who cares? You know what I'm saying? Like, when I teach how to make
Mhm.
dumplings, people are so scared to make the pleats, and I always say no matter how they look, they're going to taste delicious. Maybe for your first foray into cooking, don't plan a dinner party for 8 friends and try to make things you never made before.
Yeah.
Just, like, maybe set out on a Sunday afternoon to make one dish for you and a friend or whatever, and just experiment. And I think once you gain the confidence of some of the basic techniques, then that's when you feel free to improvise and be creative in the kitchen, and also take some cooking classes. I mean, most cities offer, a cooking school, or there's also many online courses that are available as well.
That's good advice. Because for APP, that's also what we try to do. We're trying to, this year, we're going to try to like do some workshops of like people who can teach different Asian cuisines. And then we're also like, we have an idea of making a cookbook, like a possible combination of people's recipes. And so that's kind of what we're working on right now. So that's also similar to what you just said. Right.
Wonderful. I
Yeah.
love that. I think people would
Mhm.
really enjoy that.
Yeah. And especially for like our audience is mostly high schoolers and like high
Oh,
school, college. So a lot of these people actually don't know how to like how to make food because like obviously they're still in school, they're busy, they don't have time. So like that's just one of the ways that we're trying to involve more like teenagers, young adults to like get into cooking and all that type of stuff.
oh, I love that so
Yeah.
much. I'm actually on the board of Teach AAPI, which
Oh.
is a national organization, and our mission
Oh.
is to, integrate more Asian American history into curriculum and classrooms. So
Oh, that's
I'll
really
hook you up with them
cool. All
after
right,
this.
that's perfect. Yeah. We would love
Amazing.
that. Yeah. I heard that you're an ambassador for the pediatric, I think I'm not cancer.
Uh,
Cancer
Yeah,
Foundation.
yeah, Cancer
yeah.
Foundation, pediatric
I'm the
cancer.
culinary ambassador for the National Pediatric Cancer Foundation, and that's also a national organization and very fulfilling for me because both of my parents passed away due to cancer.
Oh.
So, in my role, I help with recipe development. I do a monthly TV segment for Bloom Television. I sometimes do that with my daughter Becca,
Oh.
because I feel like if you can teach kids at a young age how important it is, to adopt healthy eating attitudes and habits, it can really change their lives. And, there's a lot of nutritional benefits from eating foods, phytochemicals and antioxidants that can help prevent cancer as they grow into adults.
Mhm. So does that like when you're making like do you come up with recipes or like food for them or like what would your
Yeah,
role?
so I'll do, for example, I'm going to be shooting a segment this week on Bloom Television, which is a syndicated television network, but it's in Florida. So it's super heartwarming and touching. So it's a Zoom cooking demonstration. So on one side of the Zoom, it's the TV host, Gail Gallardo, and a pediatric cancer warrior. And then on the other side of the screen, it's me. And then sometimes my daughter Becca is able to join. And we do usually very kid centric types of recipes that are, excuse me, almost like arts and crafts that are edible. For example, last week we did like a tropical fruit salad that looked
Uh-huh.
just like palm trees with,
Oh,
mandarin oranges and bananas and kiwi fruit. Or we'll do, monster sandwiches, but really cute, relatable things that kids can really get involved with. And then, for example, I was in a fashion show a couple months ago in Florida. They do a big fashion show initiative called Fashion Fun Secure, but they invite local celebrities. So the pediatric cancer warrior might say, "Oh, I want to be a fireman when I grow up." So on the catwalk, there'll be an actual fireman from the community and a child pediatric cancer warrior dressed up like a fireman. So I walk down the catwalk with a precious young woman, I think she's around 12, who dressed up like a chef, and I dressed up like a chef and a couple of other chefs, and we walk down the catwalk. So that's been really fulfilling and amazing work.
that's really wonderful. And like
Yeah,
I
that's really
imagine
cool.
that's really like inspiring for the kids too as well to actually see someone that
Mhm.
they look up to and all that. That's really cool.
Yes. Well, what's been so really
Hmm.
incredible and inspiring for me doing the Bloom TV segment, and I've probably done, I don't know, close to 75 by now. All of the children that appear are so mature because they've been through so much, whether they're 4 years old or 12 years old, they're quite mature, and it's truly inspiring.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Um, so I
So like yeah, so like I heard that you do like virtual cooking classes through your cook along kits. Is that yeah. So like what inspired you to like do that? Like with your cook along kits? I haven't heard as much with like physical like kits. It's more like just classes. So what kind of inspired you to like come up with these kits to make like teaching easier?
Well, any entrepreneur knows that they have to pivot. And during COVID, I had to pivot because obviously I stopped catering during COVID,
Mhm.
and I actually partnered with a company. It's called Experience Virtual Experience, and they decided to start selling because they also had to pivot because that wasn't their main business model.
Mhm.
They decided to attract a stable of celebrity chefs and begin selling these experiences where they would send out kits to clients, everyone from Ford to American Express to CAA, hundreds of different clients that were doing team building and also client entertaining through these virtual experiences. So I did, experiences for Microsoft for 6 people, up to another company for 200 people. And then kits were sent out to each participant. So I still work with that company, but then on my own, I've done a few of those types of experiences as well. But, now that the world's opened up, the demand for virtual cooking classes has gone down. I still do it from time to time, but I really focus on my catering business right now.
mm,
Yeah, that's actually really like cool because like there's so many like classes that we have online, but like there's a lot that we can't really like do so much with. Like for like example, cooking is like such a hands-on experience. Like it's something that we need to be there for. And the way like with like the kits was actually really like innovative and like really cool to see. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it helps because, again,
Mhm.
back to your original question, some people are just so intimidated and they're like, what? And then this way, it's all there, pre measured,
mm.
easy peasy, and you just follow along.
Wow, that actually does make it really easy. Like I feel like
Oh
I could do
yeah.
something like that. I could follow
Yeah.
easily and like I'm like pretty bad with the cooking type stuff.
Me
But I
too.
like to eat. I just
Yeah.
part is a little bit difficult.
And for my classes, I try to be very
Yeah.
entertaining
Mhm.
because, people want to relax and have fun and they don't want to feel like, oh, this is drudgery. I have to learn how to do this. Oh, no, what if I can't do it? I can't follow
Right.
along. So, we intentionally, pepper in trivia questions and give away prizes and just make it, just a fun, relaxing thing to do. And then
Yes.
you get, get to eat what you created.
Yeah, that's the best part.
Of course. The tasting part is probably the fun part.
hmm Yeah,
Yes.
because yeah, like with eating, like what I really like about the tasting part is that like there's so many different types of flavors, I'd say across different cultures. Like even in China, because my family is from China, there's different parts like have like different flavors. So like one province might be more spicy, and my mom's province is more sweeter, and I tend to lean towards like the sweeter side rather than the spicy
Mm.
side. So I mean, yeah, I think it's really great that like people get to try different things and all that. Are your kids like different? Like, do they focus on do they have themes to them, like cultural themes to them, or are they just
My kid, oh, well, my husband is Jewish German, and so we're a multicultural family, but they definitely love Asian food.
Mm.
My son really loves Japanese food. My daughter loves all foods, and she's loves her culinary class. They're 16, they're twins. Um, and she, did a live streaming show with me 3 times a week during COVID called Cooped Up Cooking with Katie and Becca. So she's pretty confident in the kitchen, and she really likes to cook. My son's mostly interested in video games
Uh, I'm
and
also
eating.
16. I'm 16 too. So I'm the
Oh,
same
no
age as your
kidding.
daughter.
I
Yeah.
Oh,
just turned 17, so I'm a little off, but
oh,
Yeah.
amazing. You guys are
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it's like takes a lot of work, but we're here. So
Oh,
yeah.
I'm so impressed with you guys.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
ew. And
Okay.
I think,
Yeah, go
you
ahead.
want me to just go one more question?
Yeah, 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 sure.
Yeah. Okay. So like we've now with like through your diverse career of like being a cookbook author to like a television chef and a host, was there a moment where you felt like giving up, or like how did you overcome these challenges? Any type of challenge?
Um, that's an excellent question because as an entrepreneur, it can be very trying at times. You have to persevere. And one piece of advice I'd like to give to any entrepreneur is, don't dream harder than you work. Like it's great to have dreams, but it's easy to get just like distracted by those dreams. You have to put the work in and you have to be up for anything. And, I think a struggle for me was I was an executive working for the Walt Disney Company and 20th Century Fox. And, I was used to traveling business class and having like endless expense account. And, I wore suits and whatever. Um, to go from that to like, oh my gosh, I'm like lugging garbage bags with leaking trash upstairs.
Oh,
In the beginning, when I just started this catering business, I didn't really know what I was doing, but sometimes that naivete can actually be helpful because if you over research something, you might become paralyzed by it. And I just tried to be really open to possibility. And I used all of the skills that I learned working in the entertainment industry, as a senior vice president of marketing. I tried to apply all those skills to, running my catering business, being a cookbook author. And I think it was also a lesson in letting go of ego. Because, when you work for these huge brands, it's like, well, you work for Disney. Wow. To go from like, well, I'm a caterer, like,
right.
oh. So it's also like putting your ego aside a little bit if you're building something new.
Mhm.
But I think perseverance, resilience, and also very important to have mentors and to ask for help because and also outsourcing. If you might be great at recipe development but you're terrible at accounting, or you might be great at getting new business but you're terrible at social media, find resources if you can afford them to help you. But sometimes you have to spend money to make money, so sometimes you have to make investments. It might be scary, but in the long run you'll end up ahead.
That's
That's
very
actually
well
really good
said.
advice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get
Okay.
interns, get high school interns.
Oh, I'm sure there'd be a lot of interns that are
Yeah.
work for you.
I've had quite a few.
Mhm. We're kind of like running out of time. I'm so sorry. I wish we could talk a little more, but I'm on a free plan.
I
So
understand.
yeah, but yeah, I think we'll kind of just wrap up here maybe. I want to thank you so much for like your time, your insight today. It's like really great that you agreed to this interview and we're really like I'm really excited that I got this chance to talk to you. Um, is
Yeah,
there
me too.
anything else that you'd like to share with our audience maybe before we wrap this up?
I would just say, follow your dreams with hard work and passion. You can accomplish anything.
Cool. Very good. Okay.
Really good.
Um,
So thank you so much again for joining us. It's been like a really good it was a pleasure having you here. I'm actually very honored to have like be able to speak with you and all. And for our audience, if you guys had fun with our interview today, be sure to follow our socials and Chef Katie Chin's linked below. She's got some really exciting recipes and content that you guys don't want to miss out. And thank you, Chef Katie Chin, for
thank
being here
you.
Thanks,
with us today.
guys.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
having me. Happy
Thank you.
cooking.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.